Welcome to BitBoy Crypto.
We can't let anybody else find out who we are. My eyes are up here. I personally would not advise that strategy. Yeah. Bugs Bunny or Tweety Bird, how to make money in crypto.
Oh, you're killing me.
Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the People's Channel, also home of the XRP Army. Home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all the interwebs. My name is Ben. No channel works harder to keep you in the know about crypto, and also who is willing to box Justin Trudeau. That is this channel. Guys, we've come to you a little bit late today, 11:35 Eastern Standard Time. Had a couple things to finish up there, so it's my fault. Monday, February 28th at 73 degrees. I like it at 73 degrees in here. I don't like it at 77. Guys, we got a big show today. Is obviously Bitcoin is pumping. You know, I saw this guy on Twitter, Bleeding Crypto. Now, I've met him in person. He's a nice guy. He's kind of along the crypto savvy lines. Like when, look, they're traders. Bleeding Crypto has a big Discord, makes a lot of money, you know, for people doing stuff, which, by the way, Daniel from Chart Champions coming on tomorrow. But it's like they celebrate when price goes down, you know, and I can't get into that. And I saw this tweet by him talking about, everybody was talking about a reversal indicator and it didn't happen because it went to 37 yesterday. Well, now we're at 41. And you just can't tell me, I know Crypto Savvy doesn't believe this, but you just can't tell me that there's not some level of connection between the fundamentals of crypto and the price of crypto. If you want to tell me the technicals drive action, I will listen to that. I understand it. But guys, look what's happening around us right now. There's no more bullish case for Bitcoin than what's happening right now around the world. And, you know, when it comes to, you know, talking about what's going on between Russia and Ukraine, like, guys, this is having a gigantic impact on the world. The ruble was being exchanged at $46,000 per Bitcoin, the equivalent of $46,000 worth of rubles per Bitcoin, while Bitcoin was still at 37K. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
That tells you that when people see sanctions coming, they're scared for their money. They go line up at the ATM, and those that can are moving their money over to Bitcoin from other currencies. Okay, this is very bullish for Bitcoin. It's not war is not great. We don't love war here on this channel. We obviously wish that this was not happening. Hope the peace talks go well. But I don't know, even the Ukrainian president himself is not expecting it to go well. So we'll be talking about that. But today was our big XRP show, and it still is going to be. We have John Deaton and Jeremy Hogan coming on here at 11:45, and we're going to talk about what is going on with the SEC case with XRP. These are probably two of the biggest experts around on the legal case, both attorneys. Very excited to talk to them. We've had John on before. It's the first time Jeremy's came on the show. Very proud XRP armies, those members, those guys are. So we want to do that. Let's go ahead and jump to Market Watch. 817,000 followers here on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following us on Twitter. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. We're at 440K. Dad jokes for the win. I need to take some more pictures over there. But let's look at this, guys. The market coming in is that right? That can't be right. $1.836 trillion. Look at the low volume. That doesn't sound right, does it?
No.
With the action that just occurred, how is the 24-hour volume only 65 billion? That really must show you how low the volume was yesterday. Bitcoin dominates at 42.5%, ETH dominates at 18.4%, and look how low the Guays are for basically 28.5 Paraguays you guys can send an ETH transaction. So looking at the markets right now, Bitcoin at 41.1. I think it did go up to 41.5 or so. We're going to have Frankie Candles on here in just a second. 5.27% increase. Ethereum hasn't really had that move yet. It is up 1.6%, but it is up 3.85% for the last 7 days. BNB inching back to $400. It seemed like just recently it was inching towards, 500. Now we got to get back to 400. XRP at 76 cents. Still down for the week. It had a big pump the previous week, so that's probably why that's going on. It was up at like 88 cents at some point, or 84 cents, somewhere around there. Cardano at 94 cents, getting back close to $1. Terra continuing to tear it up. But Cardano has passed Terra once again. I think Terra was at number 7. Dapper Cryptos has been looking fit. Do we have our people in here?
We do.
Can y'all come up here for a second? Can y'all come up here for a second? I want to tell you guys something that's going on here at BitBoy Crypto. Yeah.
Oh, you want me to walk up there too?
Yeah, come on, TJ.
All right, I got to come from behind the desk. All right, wow.
So my wife over the weekend told me she had a cool shirt for me to wear today. She said it was going to look great on me, but she was a little nervous because it's an extra large. I was wearing a large last week, and so I come into work, and all of these guys are wearing the exact same shirt.
Oh, they got it. They got it.
All of our wives/girlfriends, wives and girlfriends, I don't know. Do you have those? Told us to wear this shirt today, and we all, like a bunch of suckers, did it. Does everybody have the top button undone also? You went too? He's got a burly chest, so.
So who wore it better, I guess?
Yeah, who wore it better? Who looks the best up here? Obviously, they can't tell us apart now, so thanks for coming up, that's all. Honey, you're something. She got me good. I've even seen TikToks where people do this, and I walked right into it and never questioned it, so very crazy stuff. Oh, Frank, why don't you come back up, though? Yeah, Frank's going to come up. Frank's going to talk charts for about 5 minutes here. And then we're going to get into talking about XRP. Let's go.
Don't go too far off camera.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Right. Is this right?
That is correct.
Right here?
Yep.
Okay.
What is going on, everybody? Can you hear this? Can you hear it?
Barely.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the printer going? Brrr?
Yes. Money counter go. Brrr. Beautiful. We are pumping. This is exciting. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin. Feeling a lot more bullish than I have been previously. Still, we do want to keep in mind the longer time frames. Still not looking too pretty, but things can change as we get new information. So let's jump on into the charts and see what we are dealing with here.
Well, I think as you are pulling up the charts, I think this is a really good example of when you're looking at the 3-day chart that had the blood diamond. Fundamental stuff can affect the market, especially really, really, really big stuff. It can affect the market sometimes. So that's why the charts, they're not 100%, 100% reliable, but more reliable than they're not reliable, I would say.
Absolutely. I always say, right, the charts are right until they're not. When you have something like, the Russian-Ukraine news, stuff like that, obviously the charts are, whatever the charts are saying could change with, some black swan event like that. But right now, we'll start over on the weekly for Bitcoin. And so, okay, so we've been talking a lot about the VWAP. We like to keep an eye on this VWAP. I do want to stay, I will start off with this, we'll start a little bit with, slightly bearish stuff, but you just don't want to forget, right? It is exciting that we're pumping, but you do not want to forget that money flow is still aggressively coming out on the weekly. Now, if you zoom in a little bit here, you will see that, we were waiting for this VWAP to cross over. We got slammed right back below the zero line as we printed another weekly candle, just a day ago. And but you will see the VWAP came down and it is almost immediately curving back up towards the zero line.
What chart is that? The daily or the weekly?
This is the weekly.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do have the VWAP crossing right back up to the zero line. So we could see this pop back over the zero line. We might have just come down for air here a little bit, and we could see, this flip a little bullish.
Go down for air, not up for air.
Down for air,
Down
yeah.
for air. Okay,
Technically, in this case, down for air. Not your
Okay.
usual, breathing situation. But, it wouldn't be impossible to see this money flow curve back up and stay in the green for a little bit longer as we come higher. But we will have to keep a look. We will have to keep an eye on this weekly chart, and we will be watching it closely. So moving down into the 3-day, you do have your 3-day VWAP coming up. Probably going to be printing a green dot here pretty soon. Coming down to the 2-day, we are currently printing a green dot on the momentum wave. This is pretty bullish as the VWAP is crossing over the over the zero line. We could see some more upward price action based off of this. And let's go over, is it the 12-hour, I believe? Yeah, printing a green dot on the 12-hour. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And this is, I do like to kind of bring up, I try as hard as I can to bring up things that you guys can see on the charts that can help you enter good trades. I'm currently in a long right now, up about 17%. But this 3-hour money flow crossover into the green, this red money flow wave coming up and crossing over the green is very bullish. I think this could definitely bring us up to at least this spider line right here, this next spider line at about 44.3. So I think we could get there in the near future. But you do have to remember we are coming down to, I don't want to take up too much time here, but if we come over and grab our Fibonacci retracement, and let's move this out of the way, and you pull it from this high right about here down to this low, we are approaching the golden pocket right here. So you could expect at least a little bit of resistance here. We might bounce back down before crossing over.
What price point is that?
The golden pocket right now is coming in at about 41,455.
Yeah.
So might see a little bit of resistance there. Might make for a good scalp short, but just be careful because we are pumping. So it might you want to be careful with your shorts here. But might get a little bounce off of that golden pocket. But definitely looking a lot better than we have in the past. Want to remember that weekly looking a little bit bearish. But that 3-hour money flow crossover. Last time we had something like that, right over here, we did come up quite a bit. So yeah, keep an eye on that. I think this was about 25% last time we crossed over from red to green on the money flow. So if we could see something similar like that play out here very soon.
Yeah, looking at the Bitcoin to dollar on Coinbase on the 4-hour, it looks like it has gone right up to 41,348 and then started to retrace.
I think I saw it. Didn't it hit 41.4 on
Pretty much, right?
on TradingView?
Yeah.
ByBit? Is that ByBit chart you're looking at?
This is currently this is the Coinbase chart.
Does Phoenix have a chart on TradingView yet?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yes.
I know that was a big thing when it launched. It didn't have a chart. It's hard to trade if you don't have that chart to look at.
Yeah, you do if you are trading with leverage, you do. I like to, I typically look at the Coinbase charts, but I do always have my whether it's ByBit or Phoenix perpetual contract charts up just in case, 'cause sometimes they have slight discrepancies.
Now, do you
between price
use the
and-
test net and show real fake trades?
Yes. So we Phoenix does have a test net. We
we gotta
will. We'll be going over that.
That was a joke because everybody said Carl was doing that, but he
Yeah,
wasn't. He wasn't really. I mean, Carl doesn't. If y'all see the dynamic numbers rise on those trades, you can't really fake that.
Yeah.
So
Also
Carl really has that much money and he really trades that much. By the way, for a lot of you guys that saw a lot of that FUD about Carl, that's what we face as influencers. Sometimes you just see stuff that isn't really accurate representations, and then people run with it, and it's a lot of conjecture. Well, Frank, thanks so much for coming on. You guys make sure to subscribe to Frank Candles. Let's have our XRP bonanza.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay. All right, guys, if you're in the XRP army, make sure to smash those like buttons. We got 6.5 thousand viewers right now here on the YouTubes. So make sure to get those likes up to 4,000 today. I know we can do it. Here we go. We got the experts on, guys. We got the experts. If you're in the XRP army, throw your X up. We got John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan in the chat. So glad to have you on the channel for the first time, Jeremy. So glad to have you back, John. I guess let's start here. And we'll just start with John. What are the latest developments going on? Of course, also, if you guys want to subscribe to their socials, we'll put their Twitter handles up. Tell us what's going on, the latest news about the XRP case. I think today, I'm not sure if there was a delay. Maybe today's not still an important day. Maybe we can lead into talking about what's going on today in the case.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me back. And glad to be on with Jeremy as well. Well, today is a day that expert discovery is closed. So basically all fact discovery, all expert discovery, which means expert depositions, all of that concludes today. Normally from here, we would start moving into the motions for summary judgment. We're waiting on Judge Torres to rule on the motion to strike Ripple's fair notice.
By the way, what happened to Judge Netburn? Is she still involved? Do we have two judges now? I was confused on that.
Yeah, Judge Netburn is the magistrate judge, and she basically has been handling all the discovery.
Okay.
Dispositive motions like summary judgment, motions to dismiss, that will be handled by the judge herself.
So she's the actual judge. So she's higher than the magistrate.
Judge Torres is the actual judge assigned to the case, and Judge Netburn is basically the magistrate judge who is helping her handle all of the discovery issues. But we're still waiting on the motion for reconsideration, which I would expect possibly at the end of this week, if not certainly next week, where Judge Netburn is ruling whether or not the Hinman email, the 63 emails, she previously ruled that that was discoverable and needed to be turned over to Ripple. the SEC filed a motion to reconsider. They flip-flopped their arguments, and they're trying to keep that not discoverable to Ripple. I think that the motion for the strike fair notice, I think that's not that big, because I really don't see, it's huge if she denies it. I mean, if she grants it, because then Ripple will be
She was
allowed.
never going to accept it, though.
Right, but the real issue right now for me is this deliberative process privilege, because the SEC does not want those 63 emails. Because imagine this, 63 emails went around talking about this Hinman speech. What are the chances, Ben or Jeremy, that XRP was not raised? Now, one person said, hey, what about XRP? How does that fit into the mix? So when we get that ruling, that's going to determine how the case proceeds, I believe.
Now, just to follow up on that, John, before I move to Jeremy here, when you have a lot of this stuff that is being struck down as evidence, I mean, the fact that you know, the SEC has had so many fails in this area in terms of, you know, a lot of losses for things that have been struck down or things that Ripple wanted in, have made it in. Even though this stuff doesn't necessarily make it in, does this have a compound effect on the judge? Like, the judge can't put it out of her mind that this existed, right?
Go ahead,
does that make sense?
Yeah, so if I could just jump in on that one.
Sure.
A judge is supposed to be able to put it out of her mind. So a judge is supposed to be able to review evidence in camera, which isn't really evidence yet, and then say, okay, this isn't really evidence that's supposed to be involved in the case. Now, whether the judge is really able to do that or not, I think it does affect her thinking no matter what. So yeah, once the cat's out of the bag, the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, that's the way I would probably see it. I mean, if it's something negligible that's not really a big impact, but some of these things have been big deals. So Jeremy, so we talked about what's going on today in the case where the expert discovery is over. In your view, what is like the biggest development, you know, since November? Because it seems like we haven't got a lot of news since then. What's the biggest development that people should be paying attention to?
Well, I think the next big ruling is going to be on the motion to strike the fair notice defense. Whether that stays or goes is the big motion that's pending. In discovery, what John just touched on is the big issue, whether those 63 emails come out or not. You have to understand that what the SEC has done in this case, as far as those emails up to this point, is extraordinary. I mean, in essence, they were supposed to turn these emails over about 9 or 10 months ago, and they just refused. And then they were ordered again, and they refused. And then they were ordered the third time a couple weeks ago, and they said, you know what, Judge, we're going to ask you to reconsider your opinion, which I've only done once in 20 years of practice. And then if they lose that, they're going to ask Judge Torres to reconsider what Judge Niprin said. So it's really extraordinary what's going on with these emails. It's not normal. And that's why at first I wasn't quite on board with John, but now I'm 100% on. There's something in those emails they do not want us to see.
Wow. Well, I think there's a lot of stuff that both sides don't want us to see. And I think that's why, you know, even when this happened, even when this comes out, when the settlement happens, I think majority of anything that was integral in making the decisions are probably going to be, you know, struck from the public eye, going to be redacted. I just don't know how much precedent is going to come out of this. I think that's part of the whole play here. So, John, let's talk about where this is going to. So we know where it is today. We know what, you know, the expert discovery is over. Doesn't look like we're going to get a delay on that. So that's really, really good. But where do you see all this going from here? Kind of, you know, timeline on, you know, when you think it'll be over and big dates people should be watching out for. Like, where do we go from here?
Well, to me, the SEC, until they're forced to face reality, which means when they have to turn over those documents, if that happens, and the judge does not strike the fair notice defense, that's when the SEC has too much to risk, because a ruling on fair notice that Ripple didn't have fair notice basically is a ruling for all altcoins, in my opinion, that have existed for the last 5-6 years. And that puts Gary Gensler out of the crypto business. That would limit him, Ben, to ICOs only as far as jurisdiction. And until he faces that issue, I don't see it settling. Now, I think it will settle as long as those things come into play. When they have to they are forced to turn over the emails and everything that's included, and they're facing a dispositive motion that could put them out of the crypto business, then I think it settles. but I don't think that happens until the summer.
Okay, till the summer. I think I can vibe with that. I think kind of you know, I think it'll be over in September. I'll just leave it at that. Jeremy, what about you? Where do you think all this is heading to?
Well, I agree with you. I think this is over in September. And what I did is, right now we still have some pending motions. So we have the motions to strike the individual defendants' cases. We have the motion to strike the fair notice defense. We have to get rid of those motions first. Once those are done, what the judge is going to do is she's going to set a briefing calendar for summary judgment. That's the next big thing that's going to happen. Once we get that briefing schedule, we're going to know when the case has to be over, because I think the case is going to be over at summary judgment. So we'll know that soon. I think that based upon how she's handled these things previously on other cases, I think it's a 4 or 5 month process to get everything briefed and heard. So that's why I put it out into September as well.
So how rare is it? I'll stick with you here, Jeremy. How rare is it for a case like this with the SEC to actually go to completion where there's a judgment and not a settlement?
Well, we know statistically that like 95% of these cases resolve at some level.
What's that percent? Say that again.
It was something like 95%.
Okay.
I don't know the exact. It's over 90% settle. Now that's for a lot of different reasons. A lot of these companies that are sued by the SEC just don't have the money to defend themselves. Obviously, Ripple has the money to defend themselves, so that's one reason it might go the distance. Also, not a lot of companies have the ammunition that Ripple has developed in this case over the last couple of months to defend themselves. So this gives all the signs of a case that could go all the way. But statistically speaking, most of these cases do settle.
And that's, that's what leads me to believe maybe we'll see it end a little sooner. But of course, when it comes to the SEC, they're always running the clock out to the last possible second. So even if we get a settlement, maybe it comes, the day before the summary of judgment or whatever the case may be there. John,
it could happen anytime.
Anytime. Today. It's over today. That's what I'm going to hope.
It could be today. It could be the day before the hearing.
Yeah.
Sometimes at the break during the hearing, right, John? I've settled cases in the middle of a trial.
Wow. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, John, let me ask you this: when it comes to XRP and this lawsuit, and let's assume that it does settle or Ripple wins, I think there's very few people out there that think at this point the SEC has the ammunition to completely outright win the case. I don't think there's any a less than 1% possibility of that. I think it really comes down to whether it's settled or whether Ripple wins. I tend to believe a settlement just because, we've used the comparison, if you're in trouble for, breaking a law, you don't want to have to go to the jury trial. If you had anything to do where you're not 100% innocent, let's say it's a car accident and it was definitely the other guy's fault, but whatever case, if it's going to go to a jury trial, it's just the unknown. So it's always better to just do the settlement and get it over with. So let's assume it does settle or XRP wins. What effect do you think this will have on the overall crypto market, John?
Well, I think that, first, let me address that. Let me cite somebody that knows a lot more than me, and that's Brian Brooks, who used to be the Office of Comptroller. He's BitFury's CEO. I sent a tweet out that said it would take Brian Brooks 15 minutes or less to settle this case. He would basically say Ripple pays a fine for early sales, for marketing or whatnot, on how they marketed XRP from 2013 to 2017. Declare that today's XRP is not a security, and spend more time deciding what to eat for lunch. He actually responded to that, Ben, and he said, one correction, I don't eat lunch, right? So that just shows you how right this case is for a settlement. And I think that I think it's going to have I think it may be the final driving point for momentum. I think XRP will ultimately, and I'm not financial advice or anything like that, but I think it'll probably be the best asset in 2022, just like it was the best performing asset in the 2017, early 2018 bull run.
Yeah, absolutely. People forget how much it crushed it. It would be pretty interesting is that, people are, famous for making some end of the year predictions last year that didn't come true based on what I thought would be good information.
We've all been there, Ben. We've all been there.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I still think a lot of it was good info. It didn't turn out. Would be crazy if it still plays out on that timeline just 1 year later. Case ends in September, makes the whole crypto market run. Bitcoin hits 100K by the end of the year. Not what we predicted, but we would take it at this point for sure. So let me, Jeremy, when it comes to clarity about this and the settlement, if we get a settlement, is clarity therefore included in that, right? Like if they settle, we know for sure going forward that XRP is not going to be deemed a security, correct?
Right. So Ripple would make sure that that happens because a settlement is completely within the control of the parties. They craft the settlement agreement, right? So Ripple would never enter into any settlement agreement where continuing and future sales of XRP are deemed securities. They'd be, shooting themselves in the foot. So absolutely, if we see a settlement, guarantee that Ripple's legal team is going to make sure it includes that language that that XRP sales are not securities.
Yeah, I think that's going to be really big. Here's just a kind of off the wall question here. Somebody in the chat asked this. Once this case is settled, we'll start with you, John. Where do you see the SEC turning to next? Like, do you see a project or a kind of project they might be looking at? Because this is obviously a lot of their resources on this case.
I think we have to take Gary Gensler at his word, and he's targeting the exchanges, and I think that that's why this case, Ben, is so important because of its impact potentially on all the other altcoins. But, they want to find that Gary Gensler keeps telling the exchanges, come in and register, which means they have to come in and register that they're offering securities, but the SEC won't help them in any guidance in which specific assets are securities. And so I believe we're going to see an exchange sued within the next several months.
Well, I can tell you that I know some stuff going on behind the scenes with some different exchanges, and I can tell you that there's already movement on that. Will it result in a notice or a lawsuit? Not 100% sure at this point, but I know there's a lot of moving parts going on kind of behind the scenes right now. Jeremy, what about you? Where do you see the SEC turn its attention to?
I agree. I think that the exchanges are next in the line of fire, and I also think that if things don't go well, and so far as we could see, things are not going well for the SEC in this litigation, I think they're going to back off. The next lawsuit will not be a big player; it'll be a small player that they can kind of bully around and force into a settlement that they can parade on their website and say, "Look how good a job we did."
Yeah, I would tend to agree there. You're moving on from facing one of the biggest companies in crypto, or I don't know, maybe the biggest. I'm not sure what the numbers say. I guess Binance will probably be number one. But, one of the biggest companies in crypto, definitely, I don't know how the overall valuation of Ripple compares to the overall valuation of Coinbase. Maybe pretty close there. But definitely, the SEC, picking this fight. And I tend to go back to, I don't know, I still kind of believe they're all in cahoots together with all this. But I digress there. Well, let's talk about XRP in general just real quick. I kind of want to get I don't know. I've never asked either one of you guys this. What's your personal involvement in XRP and understanding of it? Like, are you both invested in it? Is this something that let me just ask this question: are you invested in XRP, and if so, why?
So
yes,
I first heard the word. Sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I first heard XRP when I read the lawsuit. That was
wow.
the first time I might have seen it on an exchange because I owned, Bitcoin and some Ethereum. But I looked at the lawsuit, and really my first involvement was because I looked at the lawsuit and I saw online that people were just like gloom and doom. Oh my God, Ripple got sued. I saw the price go down. I looked into what it is, and I said, this lawsuit is not a surefire win. Everyone thinks that the SEC is some regulatory god that, they've decreed it to be a security, and therefore Ripple's going to lose and it's all going to go to zero. And I said, that's not the case at all. And that's when I started making videos about it. And that is the first time I bought it, about a month after I read the lawsuit.
Oh, wow.
And I think I even did it online. I'm going to just buy some just to get invested. And since then, I have gone deep into that well, the XRP well, maybe way too deep, but here I am. And that's how I got involved.
Love it. Love it. How about you, John?
Yeah, I went down the Bitcoin rabbit hole in 2016, owned Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. Those are my only three holdings when the lawsuit was filed. And I've continued to buy XRP. So I don't give financial advice, but if you ask me what I do, I'll tell you. I know I filed the writ of mandamus just because I was a pissed off investor, to be honest with you, and angry that the SEC would actually make these kind of claims, where they're claiming the token itself is a security. I knew what that meant.
Yeah.
You know, when if you read the complaint, Ben, it literally says things that can apply to Bitcoin, Ether. Hell, it applies to gold. You know, they claim that all XRP holders are in a common enterprise with each other and Ripple, and because we all benefit if the price goes up, therefore it's a security. You can apply that to everything. So that's how I got involved. But you know, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I also am invested in XRP, as a lot of people know, I'm sure. Last question. Last question for both of you. Who do you see legislating crypto going forward? Like, what government agency is it? The SEC, CFTC, something that hasn't been created yet? Where do you think ultimately, all the crypto regulation ends up running through?
I think ultimately it's going to have to be the CFTC, and I think that the SEC should only be involved in a pure ICO scenario. You know, other than a pure ICO scenario, or obviously if there's fraud and
Yeah.
pump and dump schemes and all of those things, they certainly should be involved. But as far as existing cryptos that have been, let's say the top 50, I believe those should be treated as commodities at this point.
I agree
I
with
tend
John.
to agree.
I,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Jeremy.
it's a commodity. I mean, XRP is a commodity. The legislature is going to have to come up with some framework in which this is going to all happen, but it really should be the CFTC, and maybe a certain subcategory of crypto should be regulated by the SEC. But I think what Ripple and what the other players in the field are saying is we just need to know. And that's what's, I think, the most frustrating thing is we just need to know who's going to regulate us and what the rules are. And we'll play within the rules if you could just let us know. No one's let them know so far.
Yeah, I agree. I believe definitely Bitcoin is a commodity for sure. I mean, it should move over to that today. As far as everything else goes, like I still tend to believe that eventually we're going to get a new commission. We're going to get a new digital asset or crypto, at least a crypto subset under another organization like the CFTC. But I think you have to have people who understand crypto regulating crypto, which, isn't necessarily the government motto. Let's just elect people that are popular and then we'll have them run everything. So, well, John, Jeremy, this has been a very fascinating conversation. I would definitely love to get you guys back on again the next time we have a development. So I'll stay in touch. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Can we make sure that we drop their Twitter handles in the chat and pin it?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
we'll drop your Twitter handles in the chat if people want to stay updated with what you guys are doing. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, Jeremy.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
I really, really, really like those guys.
Yeah,
I
nice
really
guys.
do.
That was a lot of fun.
It was fun for sure. Guys, we got 10,000 viewers. People love XRP. We might just turn it into XRP channel. 2,800 likes. Somebody said Ben used to spread a lot of FUD about XRP. I used to not like XRP. That is true. So you will find older clips of me saying negative stuff about it.
But
really, what galvanized me is the SEC case.
That's what I was gonna say. It wasn't necessarily FUD.
Right.
Like, there's a big difference between FUD and information. When things change, yeah, I know you guys heard me. When things change, you can change your opinion. So Ripple and XRP today, very different than Ripple and XRP 3 years ago. So
yeah,
or even I guess
absolutely.
it's more than 3 years at this point.
The fact they brought in RippleNet, changed their products, and make it where you're going to have to use XRP in the future with their user interface.
That's a big difference.
That's a huge difference. That's absolutely a huge difference. So can you move up over on the YouTube side just a little bit? Oh, never mind. I remember what it was. Can we also get some doors open? That's what's causing it to get so hot. It's 75 degrees now.
Sure.
Yeah, at least crack them. Because if it gets back up to 77, I may pass out and die. I'll just tell you that. Ask them hard questions. These are not the actual Ripple attorneys. Like, I'm not asking them hard questions because they're not pressed about anything. I'm asking them the questions that people want to know, which is, when is this over? What does this look like? How is this going to affect the crypto markets? So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. We should have BC back up here in a couple of weeks here. Got Daniel from Chart Champions coming tomorrow. I think we have Gareth Soloway on Thursday.
Nice.
But still waiting to double check on timing for that. It may possibly be we have lowercase case.
I saw that.
That's
I'm gonna fix
interesting.
it. I didn't
know we could even do that. I thought everything had to be capitalized.
Well, it does if I do it.
Interesting. Well,
I like it caps.
I like it caps too. Yeah, I do like it caps. But we'll have him back on when something else happens. Today's a big day. Expert discovery is over. So the case is the big thing was there was no delay. That's really the biggest thing that came out of it. So, all right, let's go ahead and let's move into Ukraine update here. Bitcoin staggers after Putin's nuclear deterrence alert warning. What did you think about this yesterday? Him saying, putting there, basically, it goes up to DEFCON 1 to 5. 1 is the most serious. We put our DEFCON on 3. Russia put theirs on high alert, which would be equivalent to their DEFCON 2. What did you think about this? It was crazy, wasn't it, TJ?
Yeah, pretty wild. Crazy in the sense that it's crazy we're at this point in the world. I wouldn't say unexpected, unfortunately, given the current climate. Like, doesn't surprise me that they're showing very, very strong positioning.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, disconcerting to say the least.
Well, he did that. He's posturing. It's a lot of posturing that he does. He's posturing here, saying, "Hey, you want to take away our, ability to transact?" Which, they cut them off from the SWIFT system, but still, not all of the banks. So it's actually, I think, 5 banks. I actually got an email this morning from Signature Bank, who is who we do our banking with in New York City, a crypto-friendly bank. We love Signature. They've been a godsend after the traditional banks hate us so much. But I got an email from them that listed 5 Russian banks that, all assets were frozen or transactions would be frozen with. So this is definitely having having an impact here on banks in America. They're having to alert their customers.
Yeah, what's most interesting to me, you've probably, if you've been watching the show, heard me mention it once or twice. We hear this all the time with smaller nations, less, economically included globally. But now we've got Canada and Russia, 2 major economic countries where we're seeing them literally get cut off from their banking. We're seeing banking as law enforcement. We're seeing money as a system of control playing out right in front of our eyes. It's one of my favorite Andreas clips. It's called Money as a System Control on YouTube. Look it up. And he's talking about
Andreas Antonopoulos, that is, for those who are
I'm sorry.
curious.
Yeah. Antonopoulos. It's exactly this scenario. He's saying, look, banks are now the deputies of major governments. And we're seeing it. They're saying, look, he can't afford to do this war if we cut them off from the world, not just their local banks. They're talking about freezing assets of the central bank in Russia and basically making it incapable of connecting with the other central banks, which basically cuts it off from the world. So,
think about this. Think about this. We're pretty much in control of the SWIFT system at this point because we have the reserve currency.
We being the United States.
We being the United States.
Yeah.
We have the biggest pull with it, obviously. European Union also has a lot to say, but they had to get Germany's permission to cut Russia off. Germany and Russia still, even from World War II, close allies with one another. But, just like I say about all stuff, like when you're talking about privacy coins or, using crypto and having privacy in your transactions, and people are always like, well, I don't care if people see what I buy. It doesn't matter. Just always remember this. What's legal today may be illegal tomorrow. So while we certainly don't support Russia, we certainly don't support what they're doing in Ukraine by any stretch of the imagination. I gave some bad numbers, by the way, yesterday on a video. I had heard that there were like 25 civilians and killed and 100 injured. I saw that's more like, at this point, 350 killed and maybe 1,000 injured. So it's gone up pretty tremendously. Did want to correct that on the latest numbers that I saw last night. But, at the same time, let's devolve this a little bit, okay? What if America loses the reserve currency because of our inflation? And let's say the digital yuan becomes the world reserve currency. And let's say China and Russia don't like what America is doing. And they're the 2 biggest countries in control of SWIFT or whatever the equivalent would be. XRP, who knows? Not XRP, it's decentralized. But let's say they want to cut us off. So while we're looking at Russia and we're saying bad actors right now, yes, people, I believe probably 90% of people at least out there would say, hey, it's probably good that they're getting cut off from this. It still is a bigger problem of censorship, of being able to cut off entire countries, their entire banking system, because it's not the country that's suffering per se. The people suffer. Remember that. Russia's got incredible propaganda. I don't know what they're telling their people, but most people in Russia, from what I've read and seen, believe this is good, that the Ukrainians are the ones that have put Russians in danger. And Russia's basically just trying to take it back from these people that, are dangerous to Russians. I don't know where that came from. What is that? A little stain on the shirt? Did I dribble?
Little driblet. Yeah, they were talking about your cup in the basement. They like the cup.
The cup. Somebody made this for us. It's got. Can you zoom in a little bit on the?
Yeah, hold it higher.
There you go. There's my Tweety Bird monster. Can you focus on it?
I can't.
You can't.
If you get
There's
it,
a Lamborghini
if you put it right in front of your face, it would.
Hey, I get a Lamborghini magazine once a quarter now.
There it is.
Look how focused. You see the Tweety Bird monster? So much cool stuff on this cup. I can't remember the person's name who made this for me. But we love it when people make us stuff. So, anyways, all this stuff going on in Russia and Ukraine has definitely led us to pump. The price of Bitcoin has gone, parabolic today. Look at this. Look at this advertisement. Look at this. You can tell what I'm shopping for, guys. I'm shopping for plaid onesies.
Wow.
What do you call this?
A romper jumpsuit?
A romper? I guess. I don't know.
I don't think that's a romper, but maybe a jumpsuit.
Maybe a jumpsuit. A romper is.
It's basically like that, but I've never.
Yeah,
seen...
but the rompers aren't tight like that. I don't think.
I'm sure there's a specific name for it.
Yeah.
Fashion with Ben and TJ.
Fashion with Ben and TJ. By the way, 120 million XRP shifted by major exchanges. This price dropped of XRP. So we did have some Ripple news to cover here today, but we've already, nailed through all this today. So, all right. The Irish Crypto Club. The Irish Crypto Club. Ripple is joining it. What is the Irish Crypto Club? Can we join?
Oh, that was one thing.
I have red beard.
That was one thing I wanted to mention. I dropped it.
Somebody said it's a butt. That's pretty funny.
They're pretty funny.
I was pointing at that. But.
About this Ukraine stuff and being cut off from SWIFT and the regulations and crypto and Bitcoin. We were talking about Friday on DZ and I were on the show, and I think they talked about it more on ATB also, to watch out for the narrative that using Bitcoin is anti-American.
I tweeted about this.
Yeah. Well, it's already.
Gaston tweeted and I retweeted it.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Okay. There you go. You got it.
Put up.
Yeah. It's already coming out.
Remember this, guys. Here's the talking point. Bitcoin is alt-right. What do alt-right people do? Involve themselves in Russian collusion, as you guys know. So if you're alt-right, you're involved in Russian collusion, you're pro-Russia, you're anti-Ukraine, if you own Bitcoin. Like 30% of America owns crypto. You're all alt-right, which I line up with percentages almost. I don't know, maybe 20%. I don't know, maybe less than that, maybe 5%. I don't know what is really what is alt-right? Where's the line? Is it if you're against abortion, or is it if you're for, if you love the movie? What was the movie that was in black and white with Edward Norton?
Black and white.
Yeah.
Old movie?
Yeah, where they curb stomped the guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the name of that movie? Y'all put it in there. People will know what that movie was. American History X. That's what it was. American History X. I've never actually seen that movie, but this is the way that the media wants to portray you. They want to portray you. If you own crypto, it's alt-right. Remember that. We got to move away from that narrative. If you have, Democratic friends or politicians, make sure they're, honest on this situation and honest on this narrative. Democrats, if you are a Democrat and you vote that way, then you certainly do not want your party going down this line. Crypto, greatest redistribution of wealth ever in the history of the world. Seems to line up with a lot of liberal philosophies, I would say. Yeah. But yeah, American History X, a lot of people saying, I think it got a lot of critical acclaim. America is seizing all assets in U.S. and USD of Russia's central bank in an unprecedented move. The United States just announced it's making inaccessible all assets of the Russian central bank in the United States, including gold and anything else. So basically holding them hostage here. It's just hard to see Russia backing down at this point with all of the hate that they're, getting from, around the world. It seems very Putin-like to be like, okay, we'll just take this at face value. We'll leave. I don't see that happen. Do you think these peace talks are going to work today?
No, I think it's all theater. I think the major players in all parties know there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than they're all alluding to. So I think most of what we're seeing as a public is a show to keep us engaged.
Well, there's a lot. I don't know. Somebody sent me some stuff this morning. It reminds me a little too much of like false flag claims and stuff like that. That gets very conspiratorial that I don't get in. But basically, he was saying that let's see if this is true. Let me look it up real quick. Ukraine president. What was the word that it used? Visits border.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Did Ukraine's president don the army uniform to fight against Russian troops? They're saying it is, let's see, this is from February 25th. Basically, what they're saying is that all these pictures that we're seeing are older pictures. I don't really see if I can find, I'm looking for dates. Yeah, so this one right here, this is from April 9th, 2021. They've been showing this everywhere.
Yeah, but that's I don't really understand why people freak out about that. Like, I understand they like the
Well, they're presenting it like the media publications are presenting these pictures like they're current.
right, but they do that constantly. They always recycle old B-roll and present it as if it's, current. Probably somewhere on screen in the bottom hand, it says, you know, basically this is B-roll or something. And I've seen a lot of people complaining about that with media in general, but when things are
But that's in wartime, that's propaganda. In
Yes,
wartime,
yeah.
this would definitely be considered propaganda. When you're saying the president is suiting up to fight Russia and you're showing a picture from a year ago, like, to me, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think sometimes it's appropriate. Like, if you're talking about a celebrity and it's a story about a celebrity and you use an older picture, as long as, like, the point of the story is not what the person's wearing or what they look like, then I think it's okay. But when you're using pictures, all these pictures we've been circulating and seeing are from a year ago, that's a little sketch. I don't know. I mean, to me, I'm not a fan of that. During
Yeah.
other cases, I get it. During wartime, it certainly seems like they're trying to push that that's what he's doing. That's what it looks like right now.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying this is very consistent with media, especially when news is breaking fast. They're gonna put a story together and pull whatever images they need to support the story. I mean, the same thing we saw with the pandemic. Basically, none of the images being used in any of those news stories were relevant to the actual thing they were talking about.
Yeah.
Now, I agree, it's definitely not good journalism. It's definitely not very honest, and it definitely misleads people into a narrative that they want. But I'm just saying it's not
Yeah.
uncommon.
I'm not spreading conspiracy theory. We just showed you it's true. Basically, like that was from Fact Checker. What is this? Well, this is India Today. They did a fact check on it, and they said, "Did Ukraine president don the army uniform to fight Russian troops?" And they got to the end. They show you all the evidence, and then they basically rated it 2 crows, which means mostly lies. So there might be one picture, there may be something that they talked about, or maybe they're just saying that all the pictures are false, but he is supposedly suiting up. But and we're not spreading it. We showed you this stuff, like independent source here. I tend more to believe, or maybe before I got in really deep in the last couple of years, I always tended to believe more like that stuff was all false and conspiracies. But you learn that a lot of it is accurate. In the media, they definitely portray things to be a certain way. I saw it yesterday on the news. I was living back and forth between CNN and Fox News, and of course, I hate them both. Okay, but that's only place you can really get the news on cable TV, just kind of see what's going on. And I heard people talk. Did you know that the United States this week ended the crackdown on Chinese spies in America?
No.
Basically, there were all of these talk. Do you remember when they invaded the consulate at Houston and kicked the Chinese out for stealing stuff from universities?
Mhm.
Basically, they said they're no longer going to be investigating that stuff because it's racist. Stealing military secrets. That's going on right now. But then also, they were talking about, these people were talking about how professional the Russian invasion has been and how they could have killed so many more civilians. But, it's very, polite the way that they're doing it. And it's like, I don't know, they've been firing missiles at people everywhere. I just can't get in with a polite professional invasion. To me, when you're going on somebody else's homeland, of course, look, we had people in the chat. Some people will tell you that are from Russia that Ukraine took this land over and it's not theirs. And there's definitely another viewpoint here. We do know Russia took Crimea, which Crimea is basically kind of almost an island at the bottom of Ukraine. This is where Russia came up through. They came down through Belarus. Look at that pit stain. Look at that, honey. Nice choice of shirt there. And then up over the top. But Very interesting. And people are talking about cyber crime, cyber warfare here. They also were discussing yesterday, like, people are really going after Biden for saying that he's, not going to launch cyber attacks against Russia during this time. Yeah, that's actually a good move. Good job, President. Like, I don't say good job, President, very much. But yeah, we don't want to get into a cyber war. No one wins. It's like a nuclear war. Nobody wins. We don't want to start going after them cyberly. Cyberly? How would you say that? We don't want to cyber attack them. Now we're inviting all their people to come cyber attack us. And our business infrastructure in the United States is way more vulnerable than Russia's is. So we lose in that situation. So you have to give the president credit for that one move. Russian banks at risk of collapse. You guys see what's going on, not only in Ukraine, but also in Russia. Ukraine to issue legal demands on crypto exchanges to freeze Russian accounts. What exchanges are really big? Kraken can't freeze accounts. Binance was not going to freeze millions of users' accounts. So I don't know if there are any like strictly Ukrainian exchanges. I'm sure they would be for this. So Binance committed 10 million to Ukraine. Overall donations near 20 million. Russia to seize 60 trillion rubles from citizens if the sanctions are tightened. We know they've already been threatened that. So that's what's going on with Russia. So much. Could certainly get much, much more into it. But, for the sake of brevity on the show, we got to move on here. USDT records new all-time highs against Russian ruble as inflation hits. Russian central bank doubled key interest rates from 9.5% to 20%. Golly. I don't know. What would you consider Russia? They're not communist. They're not a capitalist country. I mean, there is capitalism in Russia. What would you consider Russia?
I mean, a lot of people say fascist. And that's what it would be
Fair.
considered,
Fair.
I think.
It's going to be hard to defend Putin for a long time after all this stuff. But I think ultimately there's a good chance this ends with Putin gone, in my opinion. Ultimately, now, is it this year or 10 years from now? I don't know. But I think
Like
this
dead?
will begin the unraveling of his power.
Does he give up power without being killed, do you think?
Well, if you look traditionally at the history of Russia, they've had a lot of turnover of types of governments. Go back to the Bolshevik Revolution. I believe there was some other stuff maybe around the time of Napoleon as well. But if you look back on the way that they, the Russian people will kick you out. Right now, Putin's got everybody under their thumb, but we already know there's a lot of people there that are protesting. They're getting arrested. A lot of people do not feel like this is good for them to be doing. Look at Julius Caesar. I mean, all it took is two of his very closest guys getting him and stabbing him in the back. If you look, there were plans. There's a whole movie made about plans to take Hitler out. I think that there certainly probably will be plans internally to remove Putin at some point, depending on how this goes. But who knows? Maybe they want it. Maybe they say we do want to build the USSR. There's going to be people inside that government, people close to him, that are probably against all this. So I don't know whether it happens internally or externally. I don't think there's any way in 10 years from now we have a peaceful world and Putin still in charge. I think it's, he's going to get removed one way or the other, I believe. I'd be very curious to see what other people think about that, because nobody thought they were going to invade. I was the only person that told you I think he's going to do this. Very few people, agreed with me there. Very few people agree with me. I said he was going to try to rebuild the USSR, and then the president came out and said that's what he's trying to do. Anthony Blinken came out and said that's what he's trying to do. So, and also, guys, reminder, tonight we will have our third installment of our video series on our 5 investing philosophies. Now we're going to talk about building a balanced portfolio. You're definitely going to want to check in. It's got some really good stuff. I was going to finish those last week. We did Monday and Tuesday, but then the Russia-Ukraine stuff started. I didn't feel it was appropriate to do those videos during that time. So definitely come back tonight and do that. Were you pointing at something?
No.
Okay. All right. So back to this. Look at this. The ruples were spiking against USDT. Prior to the spike, the USDT ruble pair maintained a comparatively steady market price below 80 rubles. However, the ruble's market price against USDT surged, exceeding 90 rubles. That means the value is going down of the ruble. Let's see. This is Ursula von der Leyen. She's in charge of, what is she in charge of? Who is she? She is the president of the European Commission, mother of 7. She likes Brussels sprouts. First, we commit to ensuring that a certain number of Russian banks are removed from SWIFT. It will stop them from operating worldwide and effectively block Russian exports and imports. Second, we will paralyze the assets of Russia's central bank. This will freeze transactions and will make it impossible for the central bank to liquidate its assets. So this does not look, this looks like a lady that would make you cookies, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. She looks like a nice lady.
Or also could be like, scroll back up. I could see it as like the warden of an insane asylum.
Yeah,
like
I can see that too.
Arkham or something.
I would say she reminds me a lot of Carol from The Walking Dead pretending to be a homemaker. Like she's probably cutthroat and will cut you, but she will also make you some cookies so you don't think that she will cut you. So,
yeah.
Sam Rose says chances the SEC comes after ADA after XRP case. I see virtually no chance. What's that?
I was gonna say you heard two legal experts give their opinion. They didn't say anything about other altcoins. They think exchanges is probably what makes sense.
Be much more likely to go after Solana than XRP, except for Sam Bankman-Fried has a big hand in it.
Well, I was gonna say they said they need an easy win too, which I tend to agree with. It's very much optics and politics when you get to this level.
I said I look like the guy that would eat all our cookies.
And ADA, another IOHK, another very well funded entity at this point that would fight them tooth and nail to prove their point. They need to pick off somebody small and, like he said, easy to get under their thumb and get an easy win, which I would think that's going to be some up and coming exchanges.
Yeah. Carol does make cookies on The Walking Dead. I know. That's what I was talking about. She was pretending to be a homemaker when they first moved over to Alexandria. They said Putin would never invade if BitBoy was president. That is a fact. That is a factual statement. I may run for president one day. We'll see. I don't think I'm.
Also, they were talking earlier, the headquarters for SWIFT in Belgium. So that gives Germany a lot of pull on the SWIFT system.
Brussels is Belgium also, right?
Is
Brussels is Belgium?
Close by.
Can you Google it?
I get mixed up the way they do towns. Yeah, it's the capital.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
That's where the European Commissioner's from. So interesting stuff there. I can't wait for our World Economic Forum special to come out. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting. The more you pull that thread of global politics, the more you'll find yourself back in Ukraine, which is really interesting when you hear about the World Economic Forum. The political leaders in the United States who have children running energy companies in Ukraine, very fascinating. There's a lot of really little ties back to all that stuff.
There's a lot. Somebody also said, they said, talking about IOHK, said they're incorporated in Japan. I said they're registered in Switzerland. That don't mean anything. The SEC can go after anyone. It doesn't matter where you are, where you're registered. If Americans were involved in buying what they consider to be a security, they will go after you, period. It doesn't matter where you're registered. The SEC has extremely long arms, that they can basically go to a country like, let's say, Singapore and say, hey, all that aid that we give you guys, if you don't turn over the information on this person or entity that we're investigating right now, that aid's going to drop. They use money as leverage because that's why we give money all around the world so we can use leverage.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of talks of raising military budgets in Europe, here in the United States. They're going to print that money somewhere. I'm going to have to print it somewhere. Look, Cardano is like, I can't remember what the number is, like 80 to 85%, I think, of Cardano is owned by the public. The argument cannot be made that a small group of people only benefit from the price going up, which is what they have to say according to the Howey test and stuff like that. So arms so long, but not arms so strong.
You said
long so arm.
Long so arm. Yeah.
Yeah, long so arm. Strong so arm. It's funny when you say stuff like that and you don't even realize it. Honey, this shirt is showing sweat. This is not a good pick. You give me a dry fit? My gosh, honey. You're trying to make me look terrible. I see what she's trying to do. She's trying to throw me under the bus so nobody will want to come after me. Take me from her. eBay on track to add crypto payments. They said, we're already prepared to do NFTs. E-commerce giant eBay is on track to add support for crypto payments as soon as this March. They said on March 10th, we're going to go deeper on all these things. Payments, advertising, our focus categories. Slew of surveys shows that millennials tend to be the most crypto-friendly demographic, which explains eBay's upcoming pivot to crypto. Popular e-commerce platform has so far shied away from fully embracing cryptos Despite dabbling in NFTs last May, trailblazing internet company, which was founded back in September 1995, first toyed with the idea of accepting Bitcoin all the way back in 2013 when the world's first crypto was still in its nascency. What a pretentious word. The online auction house eventually stated it was seriously considering enabling crypto payments. I certainly would not call eBay an online auction house. I guess that is what it is, but that sounds really strange. So there you go. eBay getting into crypto. Look, I think that you're going to see a lot of companies that have. I don't know where eBay stands in the world at this point. I don't know how many people are still using it. I know some people use it. I believe eBay and Craigslist numbers have probably dropped dramatically in the last several years, five years especially. Maybe they could do something in crypto to become relevant again. I mean, NFT Bay.
Well, I think
that was a name we floated around for.
I think eBay, people really underestimate them as a company and they think of eBay as a website. I mean, eBay owns PayPal. They own a lot of other e-commerce websites out there. So it's not just eBay, the website we're used to. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on here to quick hits. Solidly TVL rises to over 2 billion in 24 hours. Solidly's TVL, the phantom-based automated market maker, similar to Uniswap, has emerged as one of the fastest growing DeFi projects. We need to get in on this.
Yeah. Wait, what?
If on Solidly, I mean, for DeFi for Phantom.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's came out of nowhere. I will make a prediction here. I believe this will be a major player, and people will wish they got in, in this one, I believe. So Phantom is just continuing to move and boom. Could be the next Terra Luna that, went all the way up to the number 7. Solid offers something different. It's got several features. It has the token Solid, the Solid token. It gives governance powers, yada, yada, yada. So pretty cool stuff there. New poll is showing top regions where workers are taking crypto salaries. Let's see where they're saying it is here. Shows that Latin America, Europe, Middle East, and Africa are on the top, where employees are taking a portion of their pay in crypto. Very interesting. Europe surprises me there because I'm just surprised by that because, they seem to have more regulation. It would probably be harder for places to do. There it is on the list. So maybe American can get on there. 7% North America, 7% Asia Pacific, Latin America, 34%, 52% were from Latin America. 34% were from Europe. So very interesting. Very interesting. Cardano flips Ether, XRP, and transaction volume. We know that the chain is continuing to move. Whales keep buying Matic and Link while holding a large amount of SHIB. We don't hold SHIB, but we do own Matic and Link. South Korea investing $187 million in a national metaverse project. And let me tell you, we had a call with the guy that runs our sandbox land today. Man,
big stuff.
I can't wait to get more into that. It's going to be phenomenal.
Okay, so let's do some Q&A real
Let's
quick.
do it.
Only have a couple questions. Q&A, any thoughts on Flux?
No.
No.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Well, let me pull it up. Let me honor the guy's question at least. I think I've heard of Flux. Who knows? Maybe I covered it in a video a long time ago. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's newer. I mean, this is a very common ticker. I think there's been other things with this ticker. It's ranked 154. Price is $1.44. Let's look at the alt chart. It's been around since. See, I think I remember this in 2018.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'm thinking of Flues. Let's see what the website is here. Flux, decentralized web 3.0, next generation computational network. I will tell you this, after having a talk with Craig about Sandbox today, I will tell you, some people are saying that it will replace Amazon Web Services. I will tell you that decentralized storage is very possibly the next big thing because it's going to be required for us to have multiple metaverses out there.
Quick question. Are you afraid of scripts that try to guess wallet secret phrase 24/7, like brute force attacks? You want to?
No, it's never been broken.
Right.
So it's never been broken. So no, that's not a real thing. 24-word seed phrase, never been broken.
Well, and in order for that to really be a thing, a brute force, like with the computing power available today, would take millions of years or maybe thousands of years to crack. If we were to get a quantum computer on it, then there's some threat to it. But at that point, we would have evolved the difficulty would probably incorporate a quantum computing resistant algorithm by that point.
Well,
So,
think about this. If you had a device that could brute force
Right.
attack a crypto wallet address, let's just call it an Ethereum address, okay? You would spend years and years and years trying to crack one private key. And then the chance that that one private key has more than that one wallet has more than $10 of crypto in it, if even $1 of crypto, is extremely low compared to the total number of addresses. So
well,
even if you spend all that time and cracked one, chances are it's not going to have anything in it. You're not going to crack my address, probably.
well, you could make sure
No, you can't.
you could
Like-
look at the public address. You
Yeah,
could
but that
see
doesn't
what's
matter.
in it.
You're not brute forcing.
Right. But
You're
you
not
could-
brute force attacking an address, because the random keys or the private keys are totally random across all the addresses. You can't crack one specific private key. All you would go to is you would go to a site and just plug in the private key. You don't have to have more information than that. And that lets you in, like my Ether wallet. You can get in with only a private key. You don't need any other information. So because of that, that means you would be cracking a random address. You can't, there's no pairing of trying to crack one address. Now, not even for a seed phrase. Seed phrase works the same way. You can't attack one specific address. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just didn't know that was true. I thought you could attack a specific.
No, you
address.
cannot attack a specific address, because that's how hard it is to crack. That it's just a string of numbers and letters. You don't have to pair it to an address, and people still can't crack them.
Yeah.
So that shows you the protection of crypto.
And basically, what
There's
I was
millions of addresses, not thousands.
quantum computing is really the only way you could get there. But by the time those are common, the algorithm will have
Correct.
adapted. The network difficulty will have increased.
Probably
and
25
not
to
to
30
mention,
years from now. It's not coming this
Yeah.
year.
not to mention all the other things you could hack with a quantum computer at your disposal. Doing brute force attacks.
Yeah.
So that was a very long answer to say no, we're not worried about it. It's
No.
very good security. Also, any input or thoughts on Kadena? We know you guys liked it a while ago. Do you still interested?
Yeah, still believe Kadena is going to be a top 20 to 40 project. A lot of bank ties. This is one where you try to swim with the whales. Definitely Kadena is going to be around. So I don't think that, it's one to run away from. Which, by the way, TJ, I talked about it on a video that's coming out tonight.
Mhm.
We really need to consolidate our crypto holdings to like maybe 20 or less.
Yeah.
Something like that. So this is something we'll be doing here pretty soon. And I saw people asking about a portfolio update video. That's what we'll be doing when we consolidate our wallet to 20 main coins. And there's dust that exists that's linked to our wallet. So we'll never be able to clear the dust. But we're going to be consolidating a lot of projects. And we're going to really come out real strong behind a lot of them.
Yeah, I was looking at some of that this weekend too. It's funny you mentioned that. Last question, any insights on the portfolio or the investing mindset or mentality? What are we calling it? The key
Our investment
philosophies. That's the word I was looking
So
for.
ask a question again now that I know what you're talking about.
They were looking for insights on the investment philosophy that's launching tonight. Anything to look forward to?
Yeah, definitely. It is build a balanced portfolio. We're going to talk about 3 principles of how to build a balanced portfolio. And I really want to see you guys who watch these videos. I really want you thinking about what we're saying. And I want you really, especially as we're in a time when crypto is a little sideways right now, think about consolidating for some of you, or for others of you, it might be diversifying more. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, how you know when to get rid of a project, because that's also really important as well. How can you stay from getting stuck to certain projects where you just watch them go down forever? I will tell you one little tidbit of information I say in the video that's just a good principle. I think everybody needs to know it. We talk about buying in the red and selling in the green. That's not always possible if you want to get rid or unload a project completely off of your portfolio to invest in other things. Sometimes you just have to cut bait and you have to run. But here's the important thing about doing that. You have to cut bait with projects not because the price is stagnant. If there's something else that occurs that shakes your confidence in the project, you do that. You shouldn't be jumping in and out of projects. I mean, you should be taking profits, but you shouldn't be jumping out of projects based on price action. That's a bad thing to do. All right, guys, that's all we got for today. Thank you so much for watching the XRP Bonanza today. We covered a lot of stuff. I mean, I feel like there was way more to cover than we could even get to. We're going to talk about the Fed tonight on Around the Blockchain. So come back to hear our thoughts on interest rates. That's all I got. Be blessed. Big boy out.